Hello, marketing legends. Welcome to Marketing News Now with your host, James Harold Meeker, podcasting from the Silicon Valley hills of Austin, Texas. Today, I have a special guest joining us, CK Kumar, Edge AI whisperer, technical storyteller, marketing executive, a gentleman who's known as the shameless optimist. Most of my colleagues know your reputation as being an AI expert and thought leader on all things marketing. Of course, I know you as being a colleague for many years at a tech company here in Austin. How you doing, CK? And thank you for joining us.
James, I'm thrilled to be on this podcast. So good to see you. Good to chat with the
I,
team.
well, we got a lot of positive feedback on the last podcast, and hopefully today you might be able to share some insights on how various marketing teams are embracing, adopting, and implementing AI on their teams. I know it's been a challenge for many organizations to stand out as a marketing team in order to get your fair share of tokens and AI love as resources are limited and companies are trying to refocus around. Marketing has an instrumental role with artificial intelligence, how we build content, and making sure that our teams are basically have an aggressive plan in order to utilize the technology to ensure the company's success is critical. But it's not happening everywhere all the time at the same speed. What do you see?
That's a good question. So I would like to zoom out a little bit and look at how do companies typically adopt AI, and then what are the areas they do adopt AI in. And typically, the adoption rate is directly correlated to where do you see the maximum impact of AI, right? And so if you really look at some of the key AI use cases, it's great in coding, right? And so you'll see a lot of engineering teams trying to build it up, use AI for developing a lot of this coding, not vibe coding. That's a fad that's going to die very quickly. But
You can see
but
some of my projects in the background.
yeah, it's one of those things, right? I would say from a and I'm going to digress for just 30 seconds. Vibe coding is really good. It's very useful for helping novice and non-programming folks to better enable themselves, right? But from a production version, I think you really need to put in a lot more diligence, and that does require more time and a lot more iterative effort than just vibe coding. So now back to the original programming. Uh, but when you really look at uh, some of these use cases, coding is really very well suited for AI. Hence, there is quick, large, broad-based adoption on that. Surprisingly, the other piece where you have a lot of AI adoption is on content generation, which is one of the primary functions of a marketing group. And therefore you are seeing companies try to equip their marketing people with a lot of these tools to help them drive a lot more content generation and a lot more ideation, right? I'll tell you with personal experience, it used to take us about 6 to 8 weeks to basically create a blog, because look, anytime you create a blog, there is a ideation of what the blog ought to be, what are the 3 or 4 key items that you want to touch upon and emphasize. Then you need to make sure you have a couple of iterations with subject matter experts and
Yep.
go through sort of this executive approval and blessing. And once you
Don't
do
forget
that,
legal.
thank you. So once you're done with, okay, this is the content, then you go through this second layer of approvals through, I mean, is everything kosher? Have you got all the key things for legal lined up so that, you're not misrepresenting, but either by not mentioning something or by leaving it out, right? So you want to make sure that's in place. Make sure the branding stuff is all lined up. If
Hmm.
you have some
Yep.
key stakeholders, you want to make sure all the key stakeholders are aligned in how you're going to think about it. And most importantly, from a strategic perspective, your content dissemination fits with sort of the broad brush content strategy that you have laid out for either that quarter or that half of the year or for that whole year, right? So we used to have all these things that you really need to take care of. So when you get some really interesting AI tools that helps you accelerate pieces of this, oh yeah, the marketing teams are love to pick that up and run with it. The challenge is not just the tool, right? It's the tool plus the people plus how it fits into the process, right? And we again, these are all non-sexy items, so you don't really read a lot about it or think about it. But man,
No, they're absolutely critical because what they say about culture, eating strategies, lunch.
right,
It's
right.
absolutely applies in this case.
No, absolutely. And so thank you for highlighting that, right? I think if you can get the tools, but making sure that you can think through and work through all those kinks that you will run into when you implement that, so that now that overall adoption is as effective as it can be in the marketing realm.
And do you see the changes in budgeting being applied in marketing organizations as the year goes on? I know that since Claude Code came out, a lot of budgets got blown by corporations because immediately there was vampire token usage and all kinds of productivity challenges going on across the industry. And at the end of the quarter, people are faced with these huge bills that might have equaled their whole budget for the year, and they're only 3 months into the year.
Right.
How do you think this is going to impact adoption?
Look, I think this is going to be an interesting challenge, right? So yeah, if you step back and look at this from what are the resources available for marketing teams, and how does that impact what marketing teams can accomplish, then this kind of fits right into it, right? So imagine is a world when you did not have AI and you were basically design agency to go design this beautiful infographic for you. And that design agency, instead of charging you X dollars, is now charging you 2X dollars. You are
Mhm.
going to run into a problem, right? And then
Yeah,
you then
big time.
have all the compromises that you need to make.
Mhm.
You are running into some very similar problems with today's AI tools and with the whole, what they currently termed as the tokenomics, right? The economics of actually getting work done through some of these AI tools. You are running to you are now being forced to make some very similar choices that you would have made before. Imagine your on-demand design agency continue to fluctuate their pricing model and availability when you wanted to do things, and especially when you're used to turning things around every week, and these guys are just moved up the price 2x or 3x, you are going to run into all kinds of budgeting issues, and that creates all kinds of problems, not just for the marketing group but for the company overall.
Have you seen any organizations or teams that are being given budgets to control or to follow regarding how they utilize tokens within their day-to-day activities? Or is there a corporate governance that's going on in the back end that kind of allows the management team to have some expectation as to what these bills are going to look like? What are your
I can't
thoughts on
speak
that?
for yeah, I can't speak for my company, but I can tell you this from based on what I've observed with other teams and other companies. Is this right? Which is this is an evolving situation, right? I again, if you just look back historically, if you remember when a lot of the cloud companies were asking us to take a lot of this data, move to the cloud, and it's going to be quick, simple, cheap. Uh, Turns out over time, it was not very cheap.
No.
The moving things because that, and the reason it was not cheap is not because somebody misled you. It's just that companies could not accurately determine how much of data they were actually using internally, for which there was no price. And when there is no price, it does not govern your behavior. And
Yep.
now suddenly there was a price for you to move things from point A into the cloud. And
Which a lot of people, that was an unexpected expense.
that is correct. That's correct. And because you were not able to estimate how much of data you're moving, you did not know what the expense was. And even in the cloud days, I have heard of companies where you'd blow your annual budget in 2 to 3 months. And you are currently running into a very similar situation, because when you're running some very important task on the marketing side, maybe you're trying to do a bunch of key research runs to determine how you want to position a product, or you're trying to create some really cool imagery that is kind of unique, that conforms to your brand. And so it's a very complex image that you want to generate without going through a design agency, and you have to go through a few iterations. Before you know, you have blown through whatever budget you might have had to develop those things, and that creates all kinds of problems.
So I can see a need where expectations of management and workflows need to get aligned in order to prevent problems like this from happening.
Absolutely. Again, this is an evolving situation. This technology is still rather new. We are just beginning to understand what is the true cost of getting things done through AI. We will learn quickly because there's lots of money involved in this.
Of course.
But we'll get there. I don't think we have fully understood how to exactly deal with this. Neither are the vendors who supply these tools. Even they are unable to give us a very easy way to think about how these pricing mechanisms work. So I think it's going to evolve on both sides.
I think you're absolutely right, CK. I think there's some need for some huge improvements in this area. Listen, as always, thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate your insight. Hey, please tell everyone how to get a hold of you online.
As I always say, there's only one Kumar on LinkedIn. Look me up under CK Kumar at LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, send me a DM if you need to chat. We'll take it from there.
Fantastic. And folks, please like and subscribe to the Marketing News Now on LinkedIn or on YouTube for additional shows like this if you enjoy the content. We'll see you on the next show. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, James.
Know the wheel, respect the logic. Roulette looks like a simple game. Red or black, odd or even. Pick a number, place your chips, and watch the wheel spin. Behind every spin is something most players never stop and think about: the math. That's why I wrote Roulette Logic, my newest book. It's a clear, no-hype look at roulette, the probabilities, the casino's edge, smarter decision-making, well before you put your money on the table. This is not a book about promising magic systems and guaranteed winnings, but it's more about a framework to keep you in the game longer and having more fun. You'll learn how roulette actually works, its history, and the stories behind some of the largest wins at the table. Clear explanations of odds and why the house edge matters. Hey, what's new is that all of the math has been verified and complemented with artificial intelligence. I also cover bankroll, session management, and the disciplines that you need to shape every decision at the table. So whether you're casino curious, a regular roulette player, or just fascinated by risk and probability, roulette gives you the edge at the wheel. The logical thing to do before you even start thinking about your next trip to the casino is to get my new book, Roulette Logic, available exclusively at Amazon. For more information about the book, you can go to the Harrold.house website. That's HARROLD.house. It's published by Harrold House Media. It's also important to know that this book is designed for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please play responsibly and play within your means. Have a good one.